let's say you do 2 applications a month, 2 applications, and you make an extra $1,000 a month from that, and you do that for 12 months. You just gave yourself a $12,000 raise. I mean, it's that simple.
Hello and welcome to episode 44 of the Life Insurance Academy podcast. I'm your host, Austin Lopes-Rivero, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Chris Ball and Zach McElwain. The LIA podcast takes you into the conversations of top producing life insurance agents so that you can level up your business. For episode notes and resources, and to be the first to know about new shows and announcements, visit liapodcast.org/subscribe and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Life Insure Acad. Well, welcome to today's show. Today we are answering a question that we get quite frequently. This idea around part-time sales. Can you do this in part-time sales? Chris, you want to maybe give us some background on where this episode comes from?
Yeah, there's a lot of folks out there who have restrictions on their time. They have family commitments. They have maybe a career trajectory that they're currently on. Maybe it's their finances, and they don't know if they're able to make that jump to full-time sales. Like, they're standing at the edge, and I think for some people, you know, the risk reward is there. They're able to make that jump. I think when you have some other things you have to calculate, like if you have kids, you know, you have to consider some of those things, and your finances. It can be a challenge for people. So I thought it'd be good to talk about that today. Maybe the best approaches for moving forward part-time in life sales.
Now, on this topic of part-time sales opportunity in life insurance sales, did you all start part-time, or what does that look like for each of you?
Well, for me, honestly, I didn't know part-time was even an option. I didn't even know it was a thing. So when I jumped into this, it was full-time right off the bat. And I will say it was quite scary. But for me and my personality, I think it's exactly what I needed. I was actually leaving 3 different jobs that I was working. One during the day at an electrical company, also worked a night shift at an electrical company as well. And then I also did lawn care on midday and through weekends. And I was able to kind of drop all of that at once and move right into this opportunity full time. And I had a lot of pressure, as Chris was talking about, as far as, you know, family commitments, bills. I had those things called bills. And failure was not an option. So I think in a way that pressure really helped me to take off.
Yes, for me, I had jumped in part-time. I was working at a roofing supply company, and you know, most of the listeners, I think, know my story and how I ended up in this wacky business. But there was a lot of life change that happened, and I had a career change, unexpected career change. Had to find something else to do, and I think this entry point for me, it worked out pretty well with the schedule that I had. So was I working part-time? Yes. Because I had another job. But I had 3 days that I could commit to this. So 3 full days that I could commit to this. So it was, what would you call that, Zach? Is that part-time, or is that 3/4 time?
Well, that's funny. I guess it depends on who you ask, because
that's a really good point.
We have people that you'd say, quote fingers, full-time, and they are working what some others would consider part-time. So either way, in, I would say, insurance terms, you were probably 3/4 to more full-time as far as the activity that you were putting in.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I know you have some ideas and feelings about part-time. Is this a good part-time opportunity? Is this something you should do part-time?
Yeah, I do have some opinions on that. I would definitely say this can be an unbelievable, amazing part-time opportunity. And I think it can be a part-time opportunity that you actually never start at the same time. I know that sounds a little bit confusing, but when you're coming into this, let's say somebody like you that is you have a different mindset and coming into part-time, and you were probably putting 20, 25 hours a week into this.
Yeah, I mean, it was easily 25 to 30.
25 to 30. So, in realistic terms, and the best thing about this opportunity in this industry is you have that flexibility of time and money, and you're able to build it up to where we're a full-time insurance agent, but some of our top producers, Chris, work less than 30 hours a week now. So seeing what it can be as part-time, and that's where it can kind of get fuzzy in this situation. So the thing is, with your part-time moving into this, you had to put a lot of time into it to really get things rolling.
Yeah, we'll get into some of the details of this. I would say this conversation is kind of approach with caution. I think that's the best way to say this. If you're moving into this, approach with caution. The good news is there's plenty of opportunity and it's not going anywhere. We have 10,500 people reaching retirement age every day. That's continuing. That's going to be there for a while. We have people who need coverage. We're dealing with seniors who there's a direct need. The government is only giving $255 to the surviving spouse. That's not going to change. So yeah, there's great opportunity here. There's great opportunity in the fact that there are very few industries where you can take control of your financial future on a part-time basis. And realistically, depending on the numbers that you're talking about, the time you're able to put into it, you can make an additional $3, $6, $8, $10,000 depending on the time that you're able to commit to this. So yeah, there's great opportunity here, but it's going to take some grit, some serious grit.
Now, when you say that money, Chris, is that a month, a year?
Oh, monthly. Did I not say that? You can make a day, Zach, $3,000 to $6,000 a day. No,
you wouldn't be lying, honestly. I mean,
no.
It definitely can happen.
Oh yeah. You could have a monster day. Go out and do blow some things up and buy yourself one of them sweet. What are kids buying these days, Zach? Monte Carlos. Is that it?
Yeah, I don't think they even make that car anymore. But there you go. I tell you, when you're looking at this, and like you said, the best thing about this opportunity is that's exactly what it is. It's an unbelievable opportunity. The fact that you're able to make that amount of money extra, and a lot of times, and probably a lot of people listen to this call that are even considering this industry or considering it part-time, probably aren't making that amount of money in their job that they're putting in 40, 50, 60 hours a week in. And that you can take a part-time opportunity and really slowly transition into this. I guarantee you that this would become your full-time opportunity.
Yeah, and that's probably the best way to say it is to have your compass moving towards full time. If it's possible in the world that you're working in to move your ship in that direction.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, Chris, but do you know anybody that has started this opportunity as part-time and maintained part-time and never transitioned into full-time? No. And that's the beautiful thing about this, because I think once you get a taste of what this can be, really the part-time opportunity to me is just a slower rollout to full-time. Instead of being able to make that immediate jump right into this, and because of, like you said, having kids or having living situations or a spouse or spouse jobs or health insurance or whatever the factor might be that you can't jump in immediately, it allows you to learn the business at your pace. It allows you to slow down. It allows you to figure things out so that when you are ready to move into a full-time capacity, that massive learning curve is already over and this job has already became easy for you. And I know, like, breaking that down, that's probably some of the most difficult side of this is some people actually, I would say, dive in full time when they probably need to start part-time and have a slower rollout. And I think some people do a part-time slower rollout and they actually needed to jump in, with both feet at the beginning. It all kind of depends on your personality and your life situation.
And it probably helps to have some counsel on that, some direction of someone who can look at your situation from a 10,000 foot view, and say, hey, your situation probably demands this, and this is the type of action that you'll need to take, with some direction.
Yeah, and part of that comes down to the expectations, as people approach this opportunity and trying to figure out, whether they want to be part-time, whether they want to be full-time, whether they can do part-time, whether they can do full-time. What's it going to take to achieve that, and what are the results? So what are some realistic expectations an agent should have when selling life insurance part-time?
It's going to take, and this is very important to understand this, it's going to take an investment, not spending. We've talked about this in different episodes of your mentality of how you look at money in this business. But it's going to take an investment of time and money. It's going to take money to get up and running with your testing and your licenses. There's just no way around it. You're going to need E&O insurance, or errors and omissions insurance. Those are some of the costs. And you're also going to probably want to invest in leads. But those are some of those financial pieces that you'll need to be aware of before you jump in.
I would definitely say two big factors for me would be patience and accountability. Because when you're moving and looking at this opportunity as a part-time basis, a lot of people want to make full-time money and have full-time results, but they're having a slower rollout. Meaning it's all based upon, and I always say, the best teacher's experience. And when you compare somebody moving into this opportunity on a full-time basis, they have more time to pour into training. They have more time to maybe ride along with agents. They have more study time, more practice time on their presentations, or more time to listen to a lot of podcasts, and really start to figure this thing out. So with all of that, most likely they're able to see more clients, they're able to sit with them, they're able to hear more objections, they're able to mess up when they're setting appointments or at the door, and they're able to fumble sales that they should have got. And every situation that you're in as a new agent, you're going to learn from, and it's going to allow them to put them in a position to succeed because of all the experience that they've gained. Somebody coming into this part-time, I would say having the patience that it's going to take you longer to gain the same level of experience, to hear all of those same objections and to learn from them, just because of the amount of activity that you're able to put into it is going to be a lot less. But also the other one would be accountability for that, because you need to be connected to somebody that is going to continue moving forward, because it's very easy to come into this opportunity part-time and without very much training or very limited time putting into learning your products or how to communicate with clients. Now you're expecting to have these high results, and then then you start to get demotivated and you kind of work less and don't have a goal of continuing to move forward. So that accountability will allow you to keep on track of where you want to be. Is this an opportunity that you do want to move in full time? And am I going to have that person that's going to say, okay, we expect you to be at this level by then, or we expect you to start purchasing leads in about 3 to 4 weeks from now, or continuing and to move in that direction on the right path, because you don't want to be stagnant no matter what you're doing.
I like that idea of this having patience through this process. The thing I was looking at for this conversation is this idea of feedback loop. Like when you're working full time in this, you are in an immersive feedback loop where you are consistently getting back to back you're getting back to back information, whether it's on a door knock. It's happening day by day by day by day, where you can make some adjustments. So the one thing a part-time agent has to be aware of is when you are doing this on Monday from 5 to 8 p.m., you have to know it's like getting in a pool of cold water. I don't know if you've ever done that, but where you're trying to ease in and it's taking your breath away, and your body gets used to it. You've acclimated to the water and you're good. And then you get out and you dry off. You come back the next day and you get in that pool of water again. Your body has to acclimate to it again, and it takes your breath away every time. So the tricky part about part-time, if you are doing it, you have to be aware. You have to set this expectation that feedback loop isn't going to be as instant as you expected. And you are going to have to be very intentional about taking notes, about paying attention to adjustments that you need to make in the limited time that you have. I will tell you, if you're planning on doing this part-time where you're only able to put 5 hours a week into it, I would say get your license and sell to the people you love. Like, just get your license and pick up a few $1,000s here and there, or try some other things. But if you're able to put 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 hours in, then you're giving yourself the opportunity for the feedback loop of being able to make those adjustments. It's your mind has to be in the game consistently.
Chris, why would you ever get into the water cold and just slowly acclimate your body as you go? Like, so I'm sitting here trying to think of that. There's no way in this world I would ever do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to do it, but I get exactly your point of that. It's like learning a new language. You can watch the DVDs, you can listen to it, you can have a teacher, but if you go to that country, you're going to learn it a lot quicker.
And I think you have to really commit to it like you are full-time. Like, you can be part-time, but mentally and emotionally, you have to be full-time. And the reason I'm saying that is Zach, you're talking about this jumping all in. You have to mentally, emotionally do that, because this is what will happen. I know this will happen because it happened to me, and I know it's happened to other people, is you are already working a job. But the reason you're in this is because you're miserable enough to try to find another way to make more money, or to find another way to get more time for your life. The freedom. You're miserable enough to start looking at freedom. But here's the tricky part. Your income is comfortable enough in most cases to prevent you from taking action. So yes. This is what I see, and I think you spoke to this a little bit at the beginning of this, is people who decide they're going to do this part-time, but they worked a hard day at work, or they worked a hard week, and they think to themselves, well, I've earned my time off. I've earned it. So I'm going to take my time off, and I'm going to try this next week. And as a result of that, you've closed the feedback loop. Like you aren't giving yourself a chance to fail, to learn, to make adjustments. And you're not giving yourself a chance to make money. So that is one big thing that you really have to pay attention to, is being the boss of yourself and kicking yourself out of the house, or tell your spouse, if I come home and I'm just sitting around, throw stuff at me, throw heavy, hard objects at me to make me go to work. I need some help, and that is an accountability piece, like you said, Zach.
I say one of the biggest misconceptions is that this industry or selling life insurance is a quick flip or a fast turnaround. Like, to me, it's a slow marathon, and that you can make fast money and have immediate success with. So when I look at this opportunity, like, if you're looking at this part-time, don't give up. However long it takes you to get to where you want to go, or however long it takes you to move into a full-time position, that's okay, as long as you're moving towards that full-time position and you have something in your mind, you have a goal set of where you want to be. Because I tell everybody this all the time, the hardest thing to do in this entire industry is probably your first year, but in particularly your first 3 to 4 months into this business, because of the learning curve, because of that feedback loop you're talking about, because of everything you don't know. But once you're through that, and if you are part-time for a year or 2 years, that's okay, because you're gaining that experience. And once you gain that credibility and that competence and that confidence that you develop, it's going to become easier and easier and easier. So then if you're continuously putting in the same amount of hours on a part-time basis, you're going to have more results. You're going to have better results. It's going to become easier for you. It's going to take less stress and less worry to get those results. And then you come to this point, Chris, that you did, and pretty much every part-time agent that hasn't quit in the first 3 weeks has came to is, wow, I'm working this only 20 hours a week, and I'm making twice as much as I'm making when I'm working 40 or 50 at my regular job. It might be time to bet on myself and start putting more hours in over here.
Here are some things that you need to expect when it comes to the financial side of getting started on part-time sales. Number one, you're going to have to get your licensing. You're going to have to get licensed from the state. And I think everybody has a general idea about that. But depending on your state, that can cost anywhere from $275 to $500, which would include your pre-licensing, that includes licensing, background checks, and all of that stuff. So you need to be prepared for that. Your E&O, your errors and omissions insurance, is typically going to cost about $30 to $40 a month. And the big question of your engagement in this on the financial side is if you are going to purchase leads. And I want to give you some important thoughts about that. Number one, your time is already limited and you don't have a lot of time to prospect and sell, to do both. And both take certain amounts of skill. So if you're going to prospect, that's going to eat up your time. If you're going to sell, that's going to eat up some time. And you really want to focus your energy on learning how to sell, the ins and outs, jumping on our podcast and learning all the tools that you need, and the philosophy, mentality of sales, along with the skill of it. So you'll want to work on that. And if you purchase leads, this is the great thing. And Zach, you probably have a ton to say about this, but if you're purchasing leads, it force functions you. Can you address that a little bit?
Oh, absolutely. Just like you said with prospecting, you're going to spend probably 80 to 90% of your time searching for a client, basically generating your own leads. And especially if you're coming in this part-time, time is money. So you don't have a time at your dispense at any time to begin with that. And that force functioning of the leads, it prevents your wife or your spouse from having to throw something heavy and sharp at you from sitting on the couch, as you said earlier, Chris, because you have leads, you invested in yourself, and you might say, well, I'm getting started part-time. Why would I want to buy leads when I can try to prospect? It's because if I invest, let's say 500, 200, 800, 1,000, whatever the investment is into your leads, I'm able to have a return on that investment. I'm able to see those folks in a shorter amount of time, and I don't have to waste all my time trying to find or figure out where these people are, and I end up making more money. But the biggest aspect is it gets me off the couch because I've invested in it. I have to go work them, or I'm not going to invest in them and just let them sit there.
In regards to, you mentioned some numbers there, and I'm curious what your thoughts are on this, Zach. What is, like if somebody's working 20 hours, if they're going to work 20 hours, how much a month can they anticipate spending on leads?
20 hours a week or 20 hours a month?
20 hours a week.
Okay, if they're working 20 hours a week, it also has a few variables in there, in my opinion. What are you doing in those 20 hours? Is that 20 hours of availability to sit with clients, or is that 20 hours total? So I'm spending 5 hours a week on training, I'm spending an hour on admin, or if I'm spending the rest running leads. So I would say if you're working 20 hours a week, depending on how your schedules and how your days are packed up, I would say your investment in leads will probably be anywhere from probably $300 to $600 a week in leads. And the beauty thing about that is typically on pretty much any compensation, if you sell one application, your entire investment is taken care of. And you talked about getting started, and I do want to address this because I just forgot about it, but you're talking about the startup cost of getting your license in part-time business. And how am I going to pay for E&O insurance? What about the license? Where am I going to get this money? As soon as you get your license, you have warm market and you have family and you have people that you can serve. And you can also write a policy on yourself if you need to. All of that license fees and everything you look at can be one warm market or one referral that you don't even have to buy a lead to cover, and all your startup costs are already taken care of.
If you're on this podcast and you have questions about this, it is worth having a conversation with somebody. Like, hey, I believe that I have this much time to put into this. I need accountability. Who do I talk to? We are more than happy to have that conversation with you, because it is tough. It's tough to know how to navigate. It kind of feels like you're whitewater rafting a little bit, and it always helps to have the guide who's been up and down that river multiple times. We don't want you hitting rocks.
Absolutely. And there may be an opportunity that, like you said, just talking to somebody like, hey, what's my best way? This is the amount of time I have to put in. These are the days that I can work. These are the evenings that I'm able to work. This is every other weekend I'm able to work. What is the best type of lead for me to work as coming in part-time? What are the best opportunities to get in front of clients? And Chris, I'll let you answer some of that as well, without paying for a lead, whether that be, connecting with a group that has some free leads for you to run, and to get you started.
And here's a question that we get a lot. What if I cannot afford leads? Should I even get started? And that was a great lead into that, Zach. And here's one big piece of this, guys, is be a problem solver. Just be somebody who solves problems. And that is a great
Absolutely.
question. And I'm going to give you some hints here of things that you could possibly do.
Give it to him, Chris.
All right, boom, you got it, man. You can get with an organization who maybe they have some aged leads that you can go out and you can just, there's limited cost. They're discounted, and you can fumble up presentations, make as many mistakes as you possibly can, and make some money. Some other creative ways, and you had mentioned this, Zach, is warm market sales. You can, like, social media is such a powerful tool now. You can put some stuff out there that you are an advisor and you're helping families. You can reach out to people. There are tons of companies that are built just on warm market sales. And if you're looking for ways to get to a point where you can afford leads, that is a great way to do it. You could set up presentations in senior centers. There are groups that are senior centers where they actually have it's someone's job to set up activities for the people in the senior center. And you can set up presentations, set some appointments afterwards, and go do some full presentations and write some applications. And then here's a great one that I think wouldn't hurt. Just take a lead and go knock on some doors on a Saturday. I mean, that is a great way just to break through your comfort zone. I mean, if you want to feel uncomfortable, go into a neighborhood and do some door knocking. Say, hey, I'm the advisor in the area. I don't know if you received this card, but I wanted to make sure that you got the information. I've got some time to go over this with you. But let's sit over there and I'll get that for you.
Running the tea.
Yeah.
Classic Cloverleaf.
We actually have these cards that are blank that we actually can take up to the doors. Actually, the podcast host, Mr. Austin Lopesavero, has created some of these that even has an example of the envelope that we use, because the chances are all the clients we serve and the markets that we go to see, they have seen probably a bunch of these cards coming from different people, different groups, and they may have accidentally thrown them away, but it allows the agent to have a free opportunity. All it takes is a little hard work and a little initiative, and like you said, problem solving, thinking outside of the box, to just go knock on that door to see if they've got their information or if they accidentally threw their card away. And no big deal. They don't have to worry about filling another one. We have our information right here. We'll get it and we'll be right back.
And let's say you did that. Go door knocking with a lead, and you step out in your comfort zone and you go try some things. Let's say you do 2 applications a month, 2 applications, and you make an extra $1,000 a month from that. And you do that for 12 months. You just gave yourself a $12,000 raise. I mean, it's that simple. But the worst thing you can do is do nothing. Mm-hmm. That's the worst thing. If you're listening to this, you're listening to this for a reason, and there's something stirring in you to do something more with your life. Don't bury that, because that will keep rising up to the surface and create a dissatisfaction. And at some point, you just have to be uncomfortable enough to take action. That's what it takes.
Yeah, and I'll remind you guys again, patience. Because when you're looking at this, like even when you're running leads or you're looking at opportunities, you're knocking on doors, you never know which family really needs you to come see them. You never know which one's going to be an opportunity. You don't know which house that you're randomly knocking on is going to be, oh, we were just talking about that. We just had a death in our family.
Have you done that?
Many times.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And it's eye-opening, but based upon our experience, I know confidently, what the activity is going to result in. And I would say the biggest thing for anybody listening to this part-time or thinking, well, Chris, I don't really want to go knock on a random door, or Chris, I don't have money. I want to get started, but there's got to be an easier way. These are really easy ways. They're just sitting right there. But being able to literally just go knock on that door and not quit. Not give up if you go one full day without selling an app. Not quitting when you have 2 weeks and you didn't make $20,000 in your first 2 weeks and saying this opportunity isn't for me. You have to think about it. Why are you even looking at this opportunity? And the answer probably is you're not being fulfilled with everything you want to accomplish or achieve or the money you want to make at your current job. That's the whole reason you're listening to this podcast right now. That's the whole reason you're looking at a part-time opportunity. But it's not going to give you $20,000 if you put 5 hours in. It's not. But it will over time. That's why I was saying this is a marathon. This isn't a sprint, but you need to be running towards a target. You need to be running towards a finish line and not allowing yourself to quit or giving up after 1 day of door knocking or 2 weeks of no apps. Connect with an accountability partner, connect with a mentor, somebody that's been through this that can show you the way and give you an easy roadmap to success.
Awesome stuff, guys. Well, this has been a great episode. Quick review. If you're looking at the life insurance sales for a part-time opportunity, one, it is a great part-time opportunity. The key is you just have to set realistic expectations about the time and the money you're willing to invest, and be realistic with your goals. But remember, if you can't afford leads to get started, just get creative. There's several ways and takeaways that the guys talked about. And if you need help, just reach out. You can check out the show notes page at liapodcast.org/EP44. That's liapodcast.org/EP44. And there'll be an opportunity for you to send us a message if you need help. As always, thanks so much for listening to the Life Insurance Academy podcast. If you enjoy this podcast, make sure to subscribe wherever you're listening, rate us 5 stars, and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Life Insure Acad. Life Insurance Academy podcast is hosted, edited, and mixed by me, Austin Lopes-Rivero. This episode was produced by Chris Ball. Our theme song is by Flashing Lights. We'll catch you on another episode. Until then, stay safe and go be a difference maker.